Welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast. Listen to the guys discuss business and personal development, covering all your favorite highlights. Enjoy the laughs as the guys try and keep it easy going, yet provide the substance you crave. And now, the Brofessional Development Podcast.
I'm not listening.
We're live.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Brofessional Development Podcast.
Hey, follow us. Hooray us.
Where we're going to give you our take on the professional development world. We're going to try out different challenges, and we're going to make fun of each other along the way. Today, I have the typical group, which is Dan, who seems to be
What's up?
like my intro.
I'm actually surprised you came in with a really nice intro today. You're going to have to listen to this and remember it.
I'm prepared.
The audience was perfect.
We've got Brad. We've got Bobby. We've got Colin. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What up?
What's up? What's up? Dan's cranky.
Dan is cranky today.
Let's just kick it
We're
off.
just going to lay it out there right now.
Yeah, can we just talk about Dan being cranky before we even get into
I'm not
anything else?
cranky.
You're
You guys
just-
are making me more cranky.
So why don't
It's like being like, dude, calm down. Calm down.
no, I'm less
I'm not
calm.
mad. I swear I'm not mad.
Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm
I'm
good.
fine.
So, as everybody knows, we started, well, actually, a couple of these guys are farther in, but started 75 hard this week. What's
We're
so
all
funny?
7 days
What's
in,
up,
Because
Colin?
we're all 7 days in.
30/7.
No, you're,
0.
yeah, I'm at
Challenge
0.
is a challenge.
I'm the mediator.
I'm jealous.
I'm just keeping people in there.
Keeping it
I
straight.
just want to eat
Honest.
some Panda Express.
So I'm personally, I'm checking the boxes. I'm doing everything you got to do, right? Here's where I'm having a hard time. And
That you're not.
okay, so if
Fortune
Andy
or-
Frisella, who started this whole fucking thing, if he didn't have intent in his workouts, or if he didn't, feel like he was really 100% committed to whatever's going on, what does he do? Does he start over, or does he keep going?
Keep going.
Yeah, I think you got to battle through.
No, but I mean, like, if you go to do a workout and you're like, fuck, I did that. No, like, my intent wasn't there. I just did it because I had to do it.
I think as long as you do it, you did it.
Yeah, and you're
I've had times where I have really crap, just even like a walk, and I'm just like, I felt miserable
Yeah,
about
I'd
that.
say like 75% of the time that's how I feel.
And you're brand new. You're
So that's
breaking.
and I think that's part of the thing. It's like the idea of like when you go to the gym, right? And if you go to the gym and you just do the, bare minimum or whatever, it's like you're never going to get stronger, right? So if you don't feel like working out, but you go and work out and get something done, those are the times where you get stronger. That's the times where you're growing. That's the times where you push through.
You're breaking
That's my
old
opinion.
habits right now.
Yeah, and so, like, I think my strategy of fucking
You're feeling
crushing Taco
resistance.
Bell and fried food and Dairy Queen.
Did it backfire a little bit?
I just think that was a bad strategy going into this. And it wasn't because I have, like, food cravings or anything like that. I think it takes a couple of days just to, like, understand what you're getting into. And the food hasn't been a problem for me at all.
Which is good.
And it hasn't been any other thing but the workouts and me feeling like, okay, for example, when I was like, golf, is that a workout, right? Like, for me, I was already going to be golfing, so it was, like, convenient for me to check that off the list. And
Sometimes it'll be
and so, like, for me, like, going days past that, I'm like, I'm on this day now, but was that workout 3 days ago? And I guess that's where anxiety's coming from, is because I'm just, like, leaning into this, and I'm learning how to manage my time with it, which is a big thing. I'm waiting till the end of the day to get pretty much all my shit knocked out, which I need to do a better job with time management and controlling my day. But sometimes I feel like I'm just, like, checking the box to do it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I hold myself to a higher standard than that.
So let me
Mr.
put it
Big Shot here.
into this perspective.
I mean, you guys should too.
No, let me put it into this perspective, like the golf thing, right? Andy Frisella owns Supplement Superstore's First Form. Majority of the people that he got to do it first are athletes. So do you think if their job is to go to the gym every day, that it's like, hey, now I got to do 3 workouts? Because I was already going to go to the gym and do chest. Now I've got to do high intensity, and now I've got to do the bike.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a perfect point.
No.
So
Yeah.
okay, well,
There's going to be times that it's obviously convenient to you.
so that's just what I've been struggling with, and where my anxiety's around, because I feel like
And
I could
everybody
be doing
listening,
better.
Dan does not want sympathy right now.
no, I don't
Okay.
want sympathy. I'm more
just
mad
a
at
little
myself.
cranky.
He's just triggered.
Because if you're going to take the 45 minutes, you might as well be 100% on that 45 minutes of whatever you're doing.
So it sounds to me like you said, a lot of the anxiety is around, like, if you don't know what you're going to do, it's like end of the night, okay, I'm just going to go for a walk.
Right.
So it sounds like you need to prepare a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which
Boom,
just
boom,
so
boom.
happens
Damn.
to be the topic today.
Man,
I saw
master
him
of the segment.
rolling
Well,
into that.
wait.
He was like-
That is our topic today, but how's everybody else doing? Not just me on 75 Hard.
You just totally ruined his perfect segue.
That's all right. We got it.
No.
Yeah.
It's recorded.
We'll go back.
So I'm on day 11. Well, according to Colin, 7. But I'm on like day 11. No, I'm feeling awesome right now. Like, and I've actually let me see what I have wrote down here because I didn't want to forget.
I haven't known you too long, but you I can tell
Your
you
shirt-
look slimmer.
Did you
Yeah.
buy a bigger shirt?
No, this is the same size shirt I've been wearing. So
That
I
was
mean,
his tactic.
I'm down a little bit.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a tall tee next week.
Even a bigger hat,
So speaking of what Matt was saying of preparing, like I find myself, if I don't get up early in the morning when I'm saying, okay, I'm going to work out at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, if I don't do that workout, the whole rest of my day is screwed up because then I come home and I'm like, man, I still have to do 2 workouts because usually I have the rest of my stuff knocked out by then. As far as the diet goes, that's been no big deal. Water, no big deal. Reading, no big deal. But just dedicating that hour and a half, like you think about it beforehand, like 45 minutes twice, that's no big deal. And then next thing you know, it's 6:30 and you're like, shit, I still have to do 2 workouts, and you can't go back to back on them. Yeah, that's part of the rules too.
Right.
So it's like, how do you pull that off? So that's been my biggest thing, and it's just because I also want to spend time with my kids, so I want to have that schedule set to where, like, okay, I don't have to come home, leave them, and then, go work out. The big key for me that I've found that's made my diet easier, probably for you guys too, is meal prepping.
for sure.
If I wasn't meal prepping, this would be way harder. I mean, it's like just open up the fridge, grab a container, I have my lunch or my dinner or whatever, and we're good to go. It doesn't consist of, breaking down for 30, 40 minutes, making dinner, cleaning up dinner. That just takes time away from it. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty solid right now and looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Awesome,
And
man.
you're
Go ahead,
liking the morning workouts.
Oh, yeah, I'm digging it. I'm actually, I've kind of found myself to, really getting in touch with, nature and wilderness. As weird as
Yeah.
that is, I've always been into it, but, going on hikes or just walks and, you're out there all by yourself or with my dog, and you're just, you're literally the only person out there. I rode my bike down Telegraph Road yesterday for literally down the middle of the yellow lines. There was not a single
Badass.
car. Yeah, and I'm just I'm out here by myself. Nobody else is doing this right now. So it's kind of one of those times you're I'm doing something nobody else
Separator.
is doing. Yeah,
Do you have the headphones in, or did you just
No, just I quit
You and your
doing.
thoughts?
Yeah, I
One
quit
with the
doing.
earth.
Yeah, I quit
The
doing
headphones.
podcasts lately just because I'm I don't know. I guess more centered. I don't know. It's just weird.
I've been doing the same, so I like that. I think it quiets my day down a little bit more. It quiets my brain down a little bit more. So as I'm getting into my work, I just feel like I'm knocking it out. I'm not stressing about it so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot less anxiety, and I'm glad you're on the morning train because I think those
It makes
change
it
my
so
workouts.
much easier,
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
Really
it's
cleans your
it's
day
already
up.
done.
Yeah.
And then if you get home and a walk is what you have to do, that's nothing.
Yeah, no big deal.
But I think that's exactly the point of the outside workouts is to get people outside. And if you're feeling that, think about how many other people who try
Yeah,
this
100%,
are gonna feel,
So how's it going for you then?
it's going good. Diet is usually the one thing for me that's I just throw it out the window. Usually, I'm not ever worried about packing on the weight, and but I've been sticking to it. I meal prep before the lake this weekend, which was awesome. I didn't meal prep. My girlfriend Paige meal prep for me. But I've never taken the time to do anything like that or ask her to do anything like that, and this time I did. And it was a little bit weird going down there and not drinking, but I don't know. I feel good. I got my 45-minute workouts in the morning and in the afternoon. So
Did you pack a bunch of blunts with you or something like that?
yeah, dude. Yeah, stay lifted, stay lit.
No,
Hashtag stay lit.
is your girlfriend doing it with you too, or no?
So she's working into it. She didn't start when we started, but yeah, Thursday was her first day. I guess Thursday or Friday. Thursday was kind of her declaration day.
Yeah.
And Friday was when she kicked it off. So it's making it easier for me.
Yeah, my wife's also doing it. It's made it so much easier. Just because
yeah.
everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
It's
and I think that's helping me, with stopping me from getting to that lull that you're in. You know what I mean? Otherwise, a diet one day for lunch, if I'm just famished and got to go home and freaking eat whatever, typically I would and just be like, oh, I'll work out, But now I'm just staying disciplined. I meal prepped a bunch of salads for the next week, and I'm feeling really good. I'm actually down 6 pounds, which is the first time.
Look at that.
Dude,
Oh, yeah,
You
bro.
know, so,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so, and I don't ever lose weight, so
There you go.
humble brag.
Yeah, so day 30 on day 31, we're technically all on day 8 of our bet, right? And I mean, for me, obviously, I keep seeing the weight drop off here. That's awesome. Some of like the speed bumps that I've gotten into along the way. I mean, early on, I thought it was going to be diet. I thought that was going to be the hardest thing. Time management actually is something where it has gotten a little bit more difficult because work's gotten a little bit busier. I have new people that I'm training. My brother will come home with Firehouse subs before I even had a chance, because I haven't meal prepped really well throughout any of this, because lunches I usually go, if I need that, I go grab Crazy Bowls and Wraps, or I go to Breadco and I get a salad that is on my diet plan.
Yeah, I've been eating out. That's why it's easy. It's like I'll just
like,
pick the grilled chicken instead.
I can't go do that other
is
stuff.
good.
I picked up Pie Pizzeria for my family the other day, and that's one of my favorite pizza places. I'm like, this fucking sucks.
I don't know why you did that.
Dude, I
would've
know.
said no.
I really shouldn't, but it
Just the
smells
smell
great
alone,
in the
yeah.
car. But
You got to be selfish sometimes.
dude, I mean, everything's been going really well, man. I really think that, I mean, hitting almost getting to that halfway point is a really big deal. And just looking on there, seeing like day 31, it's like how Andy Frisella would say, like, you're reading through that book and you see like that dent that you put in it, and that's where I feel like just that little checklist, like, even though you said, Dan, checking the boxes feels like you're almost cheating yourself. If you read through those 10 pages, there's going to be times where you read through those and you don't remember certain things, and that's okay. We drift off and stuff like that. We think about other things.
And I just told Matt this today about the reading thing. So I picked a book that's like way over my like brain power. Like the word, I read you a
Is
paragraph.
that the one that
Is it
you
One
had
Fish, Two
last
Fish?
time?
Yeah, breaking the habit of being yourself.
Well, I just bought that, so hopefully
Really?
I don't have much of an attention
No, I
span
literally
either, so.
just opened it, picked one paragraph, read it to Matt, and it's like my
Chinese.
brain doesn't. Yeah, it's like these words are so big that I don't know. Yeah, pretty much. And so I got to a point where I was like, I just started rereading, because it was almost like these words going together. I'm not comprehending everything, so I'm like rereading the first 40 pages.
Dude, I'm doing the same exact thing with now I'm reading, so not Awake, the sequel to Sleep, like I read. I'm reading now Why We Sleep by this Dr. Matthew Walker, and it's really interesting, but there is, I mean, tell you what, there are so many words that I don't know what the hell they mean, and like I find myself Googling them, and I'm like, this isn't the purpose of reading. Like, now I want to increase my like vocabulary and my dictionary of things that I know, but I'm also like, I don't want to be a scientist by the end of this.
Yeah.
I really just want it, like, the nuts and bolts of why sleep is important, and there's all these, it's really interesting, but you have to be in the zone, like focused in on that reading while you're doing it, and if there's background noise or anything like that, it's going to be really hard to get that done. But if you go back to like just what you guys were saying earlier, like checking the box, or like Brad and Colin, you were talking about just walking and like feeling like that's a second workout, or like going, if you go to the gym and you sit on a machine and you don't do anything on it, then yeah, you shouldn't check the box on that. But if you go for a walk, even if it's just like a really slow walk for 45 minutes, you still did that, in my opinion, and I think golf still counts too.
Absolutely.
Now if you're sitting
Well, I'll take it. You guys give it to me. I just feel like when you go on a walk, like you said, you can either go on, you can choose consciously, do I want to do a slow walk or do I want to do a fast walk?
But you're doing it.
Yeah.
But you're
Progress
doing
over
it, yeah.
perfection.
Otherwise, you're sitting on the couch.
You can't expect to have the intent of like killing yourself in every workout.
Because you've
And
never
I
done
felt
that.
like that
Just going
early
Rambo.
on, because right, so like I'm on day 31 of this. That first week, like I was doing walks and I felt like I had to run, and I remember talking to Kelly and saying, like, hey, I really feel like I need to start running. And she's like, you're working out by walking and you just don't realize it. And I was like, yeah, I'm losing weight and all this stuff. She's like, you just said it, you're losing weight, you're doing things that are progressing you towards your goals. Like, you have to count that and not feel like you have to run nonstop on one of these workouts. So just going out and getting it done is good enough for this, because by the end of it, and where I'm at right now, like I texted you guys last weekend and I averaged under a 11-minute mile for 4 miles or whatever it was.
That's good.
And that was a lot of walking in there too.
Yeah.
So I'm mixing it in until I can get to a point where I can keep going. But by the end of day 75,
Oh yeah, you'll be there, no
gonna be
problem.
smashing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Matt? On yours?
on your White Claws?
Pretty good. I've been paying attention to the group text,
About
making sure you guys are all,
You are such a good...
Do you drink White Claw while you read our texts?
Yeah, I shotgun them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You should have a drinking game for us.
And
then record it.
That's absolutely what I should do.
Yes.
And it would typically be how many times Dan gets mad in the middle of the group. Or what were we talking about? Golf. And Dan's like, I don't care where we golf. Oh. Not
Hate that
but
place.
not Gateway. That's awful. But I'll go play Forest Park. What the fuck?
Forest Park's nice.
I'm not a golf course or anything.
Okay.
Not a golf course
sucks.
Yep. It wasn't necessarily the transition that we were looking for, but I think everybody here talked about at some point preparation, right? Like 75 hard, we said we didn't want to talk too much about it, but we got a lot of good information based off that, right? Dan, you'd probably feel better about your workouts if you knew what your workouts were going to be.
Yes.
That way you could be mentally prepared for them,
right,
and you could do them with better intent.
Yeah.
So it sucks you have to start over, but now you know going forward that you're...
And you will.
I'm in.
But let's talk about that, and we can talk about it through 75 hard. We can talk about it through work, through your family, social gatherings, whatever it is. Like, where do you feel the value of planning and preparation comes in? And then is there a point where it's too much and you're kind of overdoing it and you need to just go?
I'll start with something that's not related to 75 hard so we can get off that so Dan doesn't want to kill himself. Dan.
It's really emotional.
Stop it.
So
it's been a week with no carbs, okay?
You're doing keto?
No sugar.
Talk about hard, right?
You're doing keto?
Yeah.
Just for now, it's a principle-based keto.
Just for now.
God, keto is the worst.
Anyway.
Great for weight loss. Anyways, so I actually was talking about this with someone in our market office this morning about training new people. For the longest time we have a sales school, like we're a Fortune 200 company, right? We have a sales school that's put on by our headquarters operation, and we train them on things like a little bit about their approach to the business. Obviously, like, just a refresher for those listening, I'm in business-to-business sales. Usually we're knocking on doors. Now we're calling businesses over the phone, actual cold calling, and we would focus a little bit on that conversation, and we're teaching them in this very first sales school that they go to on how to run a presentation. So where I've completely changed my training, and this will make sense, I promise. I've completely changed my training where the only thing that I focus on with them is how to get referrals, and then they have to earn the right to be able to make cold calls to businesses. Once they earn that right and they master their what we call their OCP statement, other-centered positioning statement, basically their approach to the business, then they can graduate from that and earn the opportunity to go out into the field and leave survive drops, fun marketing drops for these different companies. So where my preparation, where I feel like I've gotten better as far as training new hires, we used to just have them come in, throw them in the car, and we'd just start going into businesses. There was no preparation behind it. We would not build out a list of places to go. We would just start driving and knocking on doors, or pulling up a list and then just start calling through it without doing research before, all that stuff. So now every single Friday, we either do it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday the week before, we map out the plan for these associates on what they're going to do. And like, I'm in a 1099 business. You can create your own schedule, and that's one of the things that we talk to these new hires about being able to do. Congrats, you're joining Aflac. You have some freedom and flexibility with your schedule. Wrong. These guys are brand new and usually coming from W-2 lifestyles where they're not used to, like, they're used to someone writing their schedule for them. You're here from 9 to 5. You break at 10:30, you break at noon for lunch, whatever that might be. So now I have them just schedule on their calendars only times that they're busy, and then I write their calendars for them and make sure that they're in the office to make calls on when it would make sense for them to do it, so they hit their number and their goal that we're looking to get them to, so we can have them hit their awards. They make their bonuses, we make our bonuses. So I just completely changed everything over this was 3 weeks ago, or really 2.5 weeks ago, that we started doing this. So preparation for me within work has looked just like calendaring, and just being a master of my calendar. So that's something that's been hugely beneficial to our organization, and something we're going to do every time we have new hires each month.
And I think that kind of goes along with what a lot of people are going through nowadays, or in today, like with the whole pandemic hitting and people being forced to work from home. It's, you went from you're in the office from X to Y, like 9 to 5 or whatever it might be. Now you're at home. Now, I don't give a fuck when you take off your pajamas, right? You just have to get your work done. So I think a lot of people fell into this whole, and Dan, we talked about it on one of our other podcasts. I think
the internship podcast.
Yeah.
Plug.
Quick plug. But when you go from that to, okay, I don't necessarily have to be in at a certain time, right? I might have a Zoom meeting at 10, but I don't have to be there at 9. So it's like people stop setting their alarms. People start taking longer lunches. People start popping on Netflix. And it's really easy to get into that if you don't take the time to prepare and structure and plan your day.
And they've seen that, like with Starbucks did a study, like their peak hours have moved back like 2 or 3 hours now, just because of people working from home.
Really?
That's interesting.
Because people aren't having to get up and go to work. So they get up, they start getting their day prepped, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go grab a Starbucks.
You would think the people who are going to Starbucks, though, would start their day at the same time.
You would think.
Yeah.
But
it's weird.
I guess it all just trails off.
A lot of people will grab it before they get into the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But to your point, so like what that creates is opportunity for those who do have preparation and planning and things like that to just crush everybody who's kind of taking it easy, taking it off. And that happened to me where I just told myself, like, keep showing up to the office. Nobody's here. Like, I was literally the only person there for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I would still show up every day, even though I didn't have shit to do. It was dead. I just showed up, and I wasn't there the same amount of time that I am now, but it definitely, like, when it turned back on, like, it fucking turned back on for me. You know what I mean?
So when you say, how are you relating that to planning and preparation? I mean, obviously, it's a good thing that you showed up when everybody else.
Well, I guess, yeah. So I guess to your point, right? So you had mentioned, like, people get out of preparing, right? Or
stayed in mode.
If they go from W-2 to 1099, they get out of having things prepared for them. Was that what you were saying?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then they go into this mode where, well, they don't have to prepare themselves. They don't have to wake up at a certain time. They can do whatever they want. Like you were talking about the Zoom meetings, right? And so I was just saying that's kind of the flip side of it is if you continue to prepare when others don't. Ben Newman, what is the quote? Champions create distance on Fridays. Mm-hmm. Was that the quote?
Yeah.
So I guess that's where I'm going with it in terms of the opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and
it does.
I think this totally comes down to building habits, and something that we're all doing right now with, and it's 75 hard, right? We're building habits, doing all these different things, where whenever we get done with this, we might just get into the habit of waking up and reading 10 pages a day. Now I'm trying to build habits with, like, the people on my, like, you've built that habit to come into the office, and you're going to get stuff done. Whether you have things to do or not, you're going to be there because that's the habit that you've built. And the habit that I'm trying to build and instill in people that I can't control what they do. At the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. 2 of them today said that they weren't feeling well and wanted to work from home. You don't feel well right now? I don't want you to come into the office. Yeah. And that's totally fine with me, but then it's up to them to self-motivate and get that done as we have that in the calendar form and they know exactly what they have to achieve. So the goal is here, build habits for those individuals, whether they're your employees or whether they're associates on my team that are truly independent, and get them to see what it looks like to be successful, and then hopefully they have success with that, they make money, and then they never want to stop doing that.
Yeah. So, Brad, didn't you used to talk about how before you would get into work, you had some habits that weren't very productive, and then you started doing something?
So what I was doing is I was cleaning my desk off every single day before I left. That way when I came in the next morning, I had a clean desk to start from. I kind of got off of doing that just because I've been so busy. Mm-hmm. But that was a big thing for me. But everything you guys are saying, I mean, I guess, like, somebody who actually made this, or it did make this quote, right? Or
Ed Milet. Separation is in the preparation.
Yeah. Because I always thought it was Russell Wilson, like, really made it popular.
Well, maybe it was.
I Googled it because I was like, what are you talking about, Russell Wilson? Did he say that? And then I looked it up, and there was some stuff with Russell Wilson. But I don't know who it was that said it first.
I mean, somebody said it.
Yeah. So, but everything that I wrote down for my notes on that sort of stuff was get started early, know every detail, find your inspiration, and be determined to be successful. So, like, that, by Dan going into work every single day when nobody else was there, that to me is him being determined to be successful, where other people aren't. And that's the same way I feel like in the whole society we have going on right now during this pandemic. This is going to be a huge separation between people who are going to be successful and people who are just going to be lazy fucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. And then kind of going off what yours, I was reading or listening to something on like Kobe Bryant and like him on preparation, and he was just the way he put it was kind of similar to yours, right? Like when people aren't showing up, like I'm going to show up. When he was in high school, his first class was at 7:45. He would get there at 5:30, and he would, he'd be taking shots. He'd be there with a coach, or he'd be there with a janitor.
Taking shots.
Yep.
I just read a thing where he called up during the Olympics, called up his coach at like 3:30 in the morning or something. Is that true? Like that's crazy.
He had a bad game, so he called up his trainer to come up or fly up and train with him.
Yeah, 3 in the morning. Calls
after practice.
Yeah,
so
the whole idea behind what he was doing was, like he said, he would after what was it? He'd go to practice, he'd go home, he'd do his homework, then he'd go back to studying or shooting or whatever. So the idea was, he said. The confidence comes from preparation.
Yeah.
So when the game's on the line, he's not taking a shot that he already hasn't taken or asked himself to take 1,000 times. No. Right? Yep. So it's getting yourself in that situation, being ready for the big game or the big moment or whatever it is when everybody else, and you're creating that little bit of separation every day.
So for me, that's where this quote, separation is in the preparation, really resonates more than, planning your day and whatnot. And yeah, I do think that's important. It's part of preparation. But for me, I just kept relating it to golf for some reason. Like whenever I was trying to get better, because I just picked up a club and within a year I walked onto a golf team. I still wasn't very good in college, but I know that if I outworked everybody, that was the preparation to give me confidence like Kobe had going into a tournament. So if I sat there and I practiced for 8 hours a day and I know everybody else was practicing for 2 hours a day, I'm gaining something on them. And then when I get to a tournament or I get to a situation where I have to hit a certain shot, it gave me confidence that my preparation going into that shot would come through, you know what I mean? Like, and I'd be able to execute. Yeah. So, like, that's where I really resonate with separations in the preparation. And that goes for if I ever do public speaking, which probably won't ever happen. But if I do...
Why'd you say that?
Matt knows.
You're halfway there right now.
Yeah, this is perfect for me. Matt knows.
We need to get a speaking
We went to
gig
Toastmasters.
Dan.
Huh?
We need to get a speaking gig set up for you.
Nah.
Toastmasters, dude.
Max 5 people. It's a very intimate setting. But no, so going into a public speaking, I think that's where Ed Milet brings it up is, he's going to work harder and prepare harder than anybody else going into his motivational speaking engagements because that's what he's getting paid to do and he wants to do a great job. And so that's why he's one of the top in the world because he works harder than everybody else in the world. And that's the preparation part that resonates with me.
That was Mark Cuban too. Mark Cuban said he would go into presentations and learn so much about the company that he would bring stuff up to people and they would have about their own company. And they would have no idea about. So he was so they knew he was an actual expert in his field.
Yeah.
And to me personally, it's kind of like a visualization tactic, right? Like if you can plan and you can prepare, you start to kind of paint the picture of what your day, what your week, what your goal is going to look like. It's like if you just make an arbitrary goal of like, I'm going to make $1 million this year, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, but you don't have any preparation or planning around it. In my opinion, it's hard to see that goal, right? So if you're not saying like, well, here's the breakdown of the money, right? Here's what I want to spend it on. Here's what I'm going to put into savings. Here's the car I'm going to get, the house I'm going to get, everything that I'm going to get, and here's how I'm going to do it.
So I'm
going to bring on X amount of clients. I'm going to bring on at an average of X per deal or whatever it might be. Like you start to break it down. You start to paint that picture, and we all did the Law of Attraction podcast. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. The Law of Attraction leading straight into this week's topic.
How about that?
Look at Matt this week.
How about that?
Man, Matt, you're really on today.
Matt prepared this.
He was all quiet pretty much all day, and
he was over there taking notes the whole time.
I was preparing for this.
He was like, I'm going to blow them out of the fucking water.
You guys are talking about golf. I'm talking about the pod in my head.
Yeah.
Colin, how do you prepare?
So for 75 hard, especially, I only want to keep talking about this because I'm happy with the way things are going, and it is in time blocking, making sure that I'm prioritizing the workouts. So now that I know that I have 2 to do, it's way more important for me to not hit snooze in the morning. So I have a goal to wake up at 4:30. It doesn't always happen. 5 o'clock, 5:15. That's usually 5:15 is the latest that I want to get up, but that gives me enough time to prep the bottle. Maybe do my reading first or just jump into my workout, but my workout is happening before 6 a.m. for me. And then having my meals prepped for lunch is huge for me because I don't have to think about it. And then I can go into work and get everything I have done and schedule everything around that lunchtime workout, and I can still make new business calls. You know, I'm getting in the office a lot earlier. It's just forcing me to time block and structure my schedule. It's very
time
weird.
management.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is just something that I had to tie into working out or fitness or what, but I've been way more deliberate about it and caring about it a lot more. These are just habits that I hope to stick with. The meal prepping for sure, and then a lot of the stuff that I've been listening to. The podcast, this guy James Clear, he talks about those atomic habits, like the small ones. Like you say you want to go run a half marathon. Like you have to first become a runner. You know what I mean? So like just wake up one morning and put on your clothes and go run. You know what I mean? Whether it's for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, you have to first become a runner before you can just go out there and start training for a half marathon. You have to know what you're made of and to know who you have to become to hit that.
Last year when I lost 23 pounds at the end of last year, and that was my thing. Like there were some days where I had the time, but I didn't make it a priority, I guess, because I don't like saying I didn't have the time ever. But
you said that to me like 3 months ago. And I was like, that makes total sense.
Well, I think like, hey, I don't have time is an excuse for, either it's a priority or it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but anyways, going back to the losing 23 pounds, that was my big thing. I wanted to create a habit around riding a bike. And so whether I rode my bike for 5 minutes, or whether I rode it up and down the street, as long as I got on that fucking bike and rode it, that was a win because I was creating the habit of getting the bike out of the garage, getting on that bike and going, and then it was 10 miles every day and it wasn't a problem.
And you're just making the first step. You know what I mean? That's
right.
I don't know what exactly.
And I think that's why it's easy for me to jump back into the bike and to some extent like walking or whatever. It's just once you get going, it's fine. The workouts, the first 5 minutes of the workout or just getting into the workout is the hard part. But once you get going, and so that's for me. I'm hoping to just keep building on what I've done over the last week.
We've only been doing it for a week. You know what I mean? So don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing things that you're not normally doing in your everyday. That's why you're.
I just want to dominate.
Yeah, and you will because you do give a shit about it.
I don't know about you guys, but lately I've been thinking a lot about the book we read by Gary Keller, The One Thing, because I just feel like everything he said, like he just grouped everything that's important to do.
And made a lot of sense.
Yeah, it made sense of everything.
Your Bible?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like that book has been the best thing. I mean, he had time management in there, time blocking.
That James Clear guy, that's that One Thing that was on the One Thing podcast. There's like a whole podcast about.
He's got it figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work to do to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to do all these things. But once you start doing them, and like Bobby said, we're creating habits. Like, in Gary Keller, he said you have to think of one habit, basically.
Well, that's the thing. Can you create multiple habits at one time? The answer is no, right?
Yeah, that's what that book said. So it's like here we are trying to do like 5 or 6 habits all at one time. It's tough. So,
but I think taking inventory and figuring out where you need to get stronger to keep that other habit going, I think that's important. So I don't know if you guys are journaling or anything like that, but I've been thinking about maybe starting a journal or something through this whole thing. Have you been doing it? Journaling?
Not consistently, because I got that new Mindset Who Dis book, and I've been reading so much that it's something that's
it's another job on top of it.
Slipped away.
Yeah,
it did. I'll be completely honest. I actually thought about it yesterday.
Yeah, I was the same way.
I literally just bought that book for one of my friends, who her and her boyfriend actually split up, and she's just like been just killing herself over all this
look
stuff.
Who's sliding in.
0%. Anyways, she's awesome, but no. Brad with the zingers. But no, I bought it and I sent it over to her because I wanted her to be able to think a little bit more about this kind of stuff. And we're doing all these awesome things where I really feel like I sent you guys this message today. Colin, you said that Dan's golfing partner is going to start 75 hard because of listening to our podcast. Like, guys, how fucking cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have people that are starting this. There's a guy on my team that is on day 10 of this right now, and there's going to be other people whose lives we change because of it, and I think that's really fucking powerful.
I had the same thing. A guy I used to race with, he sent me a message, and he goes, what's 75 hard? And I told him about it, and he goes, okay, I'm starting. And then today he messaged me like, dude, you're a beast. He's like, I made it 2 days, and I'm starting back over.
And pounded some Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, he didn't give up, but he said, well, he had to start back over. He failed one of his objectives. I'm like, like you said, I mean, we are making the circle larger by the day.
I'm really happy you showed up like having trouble with it. I think that people do need to hear that if they're going to start it.
Well, I mean, that's just, I wanted to be real with it, and I just have some anxiety over, am I doing the right things? Because it feels like sometimes when you get done with, I just feel like when you get done with the workout, you should feel fucking great about it. And sometimes I get done with the workout, and I'm like, was that a workout?
Well, you do the power list too. Like sometimes I get done with my power list, and I'm just like, damn, I could have done more. But it's like at the end of the day, I did my power list.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I agree.
0.01.
You called me out on my power list today.
You should talk about power lists because I don't make power lists.
Yeah.
It'll change your life. You won't be able to keep up.
What is a power list?
How do you not know that? Being an Andy Frisella fan. Yeah.
Damn. I swear to
Tune into the next podcast.
Tune into the next narrative from Andy Frisella.
Love you, Andy.
So I think we can all be in agreement.
I was being serious, by the way.
What's that?
I don't know what a power list is.
So basically, it kind of parlays to me as the compound effect, like moving something forward. And I think some people do the power list different than I do it, but this is my take on it. So if I'm ever struggling or I have these anxieties or whatever, I will say, all right, fuck this. Tomorrow I'm starting over, and then I'll create a list of 4 to 5 different things that, as long as I do each one of those tasks every day, it's something that moves me forward, by the way. It's like making a cold call because I've been scared to make cold calls, or making a candidate call that's on my power list right now because I haven't been recruiting, because I've been managing all these candidates for my team lately, and I've been taken away from the recruiting role for a little bit. And so as long as you do those daily tasks to get back into your normal routine and kind of back to the best version of yourself, like do those 5 tasks, you win the day, then you win the week, then you win the month, then you win the year. You know what I mean?
So it's a glorified checklist, but it's a lot more powerful than that. So like Dan said, it's to start building momentum when you feel anxiety or you don't know where the fuck your head's at or you don't know how to push things forward. It's you put the top 5 things that are going to move yourself forward, personally, professionally,
that just ties
whatever.
Right back into preparation on your day.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's perfect.
Well, yeah. So, but for me, it's the same thing every single day for like 30, 45 days until they become a habit. And then after they become a habit and I'm back on top with whatever skill I lost, then you change your power list into something else that levels you up again. And so that's how I use it. Some people use it as like their to-do list, but to me, I do the same. It's very like the same thing every single day.
So actually, Andy, you're right. Andy Frisella, he does say like you pick these 5 things and then you stick with them. And you stick with them for X amount of days. I think he has like 21 straight days. There's a lot of like back and forth science on like what it takes to form a habit.
Like in one thing, they say 66 days.
It just depends on the habit. It depends on where you are and how comfortable you are with it. There's too many factors, but he just says do it for 21 days, and he feels like once you do it for those 21 days, you can take it off your list because it'll become a habit, and then you can plug something new in. And the idea is to continually plug in better, more and more good habits or productivity things throughout the day. So last plug on Andy, and
I will not talk about Andy the rest of this podcast.
We did this podcast because I think we all agree that preparation is pretty key. We've obviously given some insights into why it is important and how it can help us. But is there a piece or a spot where it goes too far? And I guess I'll just kind of jump into this. I like planning. Like I like planning my day.
No,
he loves it. He fucking loves it. I swear, he'll be in the office in the morning. He'll plan for like an hour and a half, and then at the end of the day, he's planning for an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
That's not really, but
I really like that. But I do not awesome.
No, neither. So
I was about to say that's 3 hours.
Yeah. I don't know, but here's the thing: to kind of piggyback off like Dan's exaggeration, there can be times where I will plan to the point where it's just like, man, I'm kind of exhausted. I should call,
Dog, dude, get some Sour Patch.
No, and it's the Patton quote: "A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week." So there is, when people get caught up in this paralysis by analysis, like people looking for this perfect plan of what to do, and I would do it early in my cold calling days where it's like I'd have my list set out. It's like, all right, it's like let me get my top people here. It's like let me make sure everything's in order. It's like, ooh, let's get that in alphabetical order. It's like, oh wait, let's color coordinate these, right? Let's fucking put these in.
I'm gonna make this
green are the sales, yellow are the, and then it's like I'd find myself like, fuck, that's an hour of time that I could have been on the phone, and it's kind of like
Procrastination.
I didn't. Yeah, it's a form of procrastination. It gets to the
Get
point
your
where
hardest
it's a
shit done in
form
the morning.
of procrastination, and that's where I can fucking get lost in the weeds. Is like I'll start to plan, but I'm looking for that perfect plan instead of like, hey, let's just design a plan, but be flexible with this plan and just fucking go.
So that's something that I feel like can relate to any area in your life, right? And this is something that I talk about with my sales team, and I think it's relevant in personal life as well, that action cures all fear. Like, if you can plan out this 75 hard all you want. Sorry, one more Andy Frisella. Just kidding. There's going to be 6 more.
Yeah.
But you have to just go
Keep
out
track.
and fucking do it, because you did it like those first couple days, and you were just like, I'm doing everything at the end of the night, and you're checking the box on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but you're going out and you're doing it. Action cures all fear. If you were like, I'm going to plan and I'm going to wait until I can like make sure I have a good diet plan, and like after this holiday rolls around, or this birthday, or this vacation, wherever that might be, those are all just excuses, right? And a fear of getting something done versus just picking up the phone and making calls and then making a fool of yourself and then getting better because of it.
Yep.
That's all we preach on my team, is just about getting better every single day, and just even going on those shitty walks is making you get better every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's where, like, Matt, on our way over here, I was like, I don't know where I fall with preparation. You know, like, I feel like if I have a meeting, I'm typically prepared for the meeting, but I don't put a ton of preparation into some of that. But I always feel like I do what's required, you know, to get there. And because I'm a doer, like, I'm kind of the opposite side. I would say I'm a doer, at least. Like, I will literally get an idea, and then I'll just start doing shit recklessly, and I'll leave a wake of, like, admin work.
Oh,
or
in a China shop.
Like, yeah, but, I mean, I'm learning so fast because I'm failing very quickly. And so, like, whenever I built my app, like, I didn't know how to code. I didn't know how to do anything. And I had this vision in my head, but I didn't even know where to start. So I could have sat there and I could have drew screens out, and I could have done this and I could have done that. But instead, I went and I found somebody to help me with that. He scammed me for $3,000, you know. But I learned.
Oh, no.
I mean, not a big deal. I'd rather lose $3,000 up front on something like that than lose $100,000 in the grand scheme of building it out, right?
Sure.
And so that was a failure. But I learned that, you know, instead of like talking to some people, I just started going, and I had a referral, and you know, and we built it and we launched it, and it wasn't perfect when we launched it, but it, you know, it was cool, and I learned a lot. But I didn't prepare a ton throughout that process. I just kept it moving.
Oh, so wait, so you're saying don't prepare and just do?
No, I'm saying that's the thing. I'm saying I'm kind of on the wrong side. Like, I think that we meet in the middle, Matt.
I think it's like the action cures fear, where it's like Dan's like, well, he just went out and he just did all this stuff, where like you have moments where like you could plan and you can try and make that perfect app, and spend a bunch of money on something that might not be what you want anyways in the first place. And
yeah,
I don't know. I think that
it's a double-edged sword on which side you go to, right? Because you can't do anything without action.
There's got to be a medium.
There has to be a medium.
Right.
And I listened to Jocko Willing try to explain this. He did like a little podcast, and part of his podcast was on preparation. And he's like, okay, let me break it down to you, but this is going to sound super fucked up. He goes, he's like, you want to create a plan. He's like, but be flexible about the plan, you know, but you want to stick to your plan. But be ready to adjust to that plan, but stick to the plan.
Yeah.
Like Michael Scott.
And
Right.
I'm reading his book right now, Extreme Ownership, and like that makes, I mean, everything about planning. I mean, obviously they're in the military and they have to have a pretty good idea of what they're getting into each time. But I mean, you'll see in his book he talks about situations where they might have been working with the Army or another branch of the military, and they wouldn't want to work with them. They wouldn't give them all the information. He's like, how are we going to prep for this? Like, we could easily be shooting you guys and have no idea. And they'd say, you know, we'll provide you with everything we can, but if you're not going to do the same, we can't work with you. So it's situations like that that make sense, where like, if you're not prepared and you walk into something, it might not be the best fit all the time.
Right. Absolutely.
Love it. Colin, what are your thoughts?
I agree with everything that Brad just said.
Yeah.
No, I think there's things that require a lot more planning than other things, like cold calling, for example. You can only prep so much. Like, you can go through a script and have something in front of you that's going to aid you, But at the end of the day, like, you have to be able to deal with those objections yourself.
Whatever falls out of your mouth is going to fall out.
I like
of your
It's
that.
going to fall out. Yeah. So
Like you can only prep so much,
you
and
only prep
you can
so
apply
much.
that to
And
pretty
I
much
think that's
every
what you were
situation.
saying with the presentation. You know, like, you can go in with an idea of how this is going to go, but the minute they start asking questions or anything like that, you have to be prepared to just relax and take it as they come.
I did this same thing with LinkedIn whenever we got to, and we talked about this because you hooked me up with your buddy at Link Selling, and I wanted to get onto LinkedIn and start to organically build a network of these human resource directors and CFOs that I wanted to contact, and then I had all these ideas for these scripts and this basically like what do you call it? Just like an automated emailing system that would get out to all these guys based on what responses we would get after so many days would go by. If they didn't open up the email, they'd get this. If they did open up the email, they'd get this email. And I had all this like really great idea. Like it would have been great, but you know what would have been better? If I didn't spend a week and a half, 2 weeks on that, and I would have just picked up the phone and called these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that at all, and it got me behind. And that was early on in quarantine where I was like, Brad, you talked about it earlier, people are just sitting at home doing whatever the fuck they want. I took a long lunch. Back then, whenever I was still drinking, I would start drinking at lunch, and I wouldn't stop until I wouldn't stop until I fell asleep. Then, so for something like that, that's just a perfect example of like you can't get too overcomplicated with this. And I've had guys on my team like, oh, I want to get on LinkedIn, I want to do things this way, and I'm like, no, dude, that don't work. I did that. It doesn't work. You have to pick up the phone and you have to call people.
Yeah, I think finding a target market for any company, that's a great way to look at it in terms of get an idea of who you think would buy it and then just start fucking A/B testing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if you fuck up, you fuck up. They're not even going to remember who the hell you were.
Yeah,
exactly.
Put the
But
notes
moving
in
it
your
forward, it's
CRM
better than not.
and then call them back.
And it's so funny when you first start, you're like, man, that dude hates me. You know, or at least I did. I was like, man, that dude hates me. Like, I'm never going to call him again. I might run into him at the baseball game or call him again. Be like, I don't even remember talking to you.
Now, Matt, since
that's what I tell myself. I'm like, these people won't remember this 2 days from now. They're not going to be like, hey, that guy Dan called me.
3 minutes.
Which is good.
Exactly.
Actually, somebody gave me similar advice about public speaking, and it was like, just get up there with the mindset of nobody really cares and nobody's listening. Just do it the best that you can, you know.
Because
like,
you're the expert. You're the one standing up in front of everyone.
Yeah.
So whenever
They're
you're standing
learning
up
from
there,
you.
whenever
But if you're
we
a
sign
type-
you up
if you're
to talk about this, Stan, you are going to just be, you're going to smash it.
What other people think about you is none of your fucking business, right?
Don't worry about my thoughts.
Now, Matt, since you're the big prepper here, you know, you like having plans, everything set out. What do you do in a situation like? How do you feel when it does go off course, like in the middle of it?
That's definitely one of my downfalls. I like things sticking to, but that's also something that's a big learning opportunity for me. Like being able to like
adapt
for the podcast. Like we didn't have today. We started this topic today.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We're awesome.
We
At
were
like
not
10:30.
We weren't. Yeah,
We're deadline.
And I do kind of want to
motivated.
say it was around last week. You know, I think that with that podcast,
I think I asked 3 times in the group message if we had a topic, and I didn't want to come up with one, but I wanted someone to tell me what the fuck I had to do.
kind of like
tell me what
that.
to do.
Kind of like Matt. Oh, by the way, anybody in St. Louis, Matt's putting on a volleyball tournament. What day?
October 2nd, 3rd, whatever that Saturday
So,
is.
if you're interested, let us know. But to your
I
point,
believe it's October 3rd.
To your point,
Warrior
you-
It
William.
is October.
you
3rd.
wanted somebody to just
I'll get
fucking
more
tell you the
info.
answer, right? Like when
Yes.
I said, "Hey, is this a co-ed volleyball tournament?" Did you read the fucking invite?
Yeah, that was
Like,
totally.
what?
I was just like, I think I was driving, and I was just like, I want to be mean to Dan right now.
So,
And I knew it was co-ed.
But that's
so Bobby's got the
understandable.
next topic next
No,
week.
because
That's fine. I can do that.
because Dan also does. We're meeting at X company, Dan. Okay. 2 days later, what's the address? Just look up the fucking company on Google. And
He
type
said-
in
he
direct-
said, I'm
I
only
did,
gonna-
to be fair, I did
I
ask
did
what
this-
goblet squats were today, and I could have just fucking Googled it too. And like, do you want me to fucking Google that for you, Bobby?
and Colin did.
Yeah,
He did.
So I think the overarching theme here today is definitely preparation's good, but progress is better than perfection, right?
That's true.
Like if you don't need to be perfect on everything that you do, as long as you're moving the needle forward. So whether you're on your second workout and you're
if you
going to
can't
do a
be
walk,
better,
or if you're
can't be
you're
perfect,
golfing,
be better.
Dan, did
That's
you
right.
get your answer today? Because we
I-
actually made this podcast for you.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
What
I'm
was
good.
the question that you were seeking an answer to?
His workouts and if he was really doing 75
yeah,
hard,
you're
right?
good, bro. You're
Okay.
cool.
All right.
for now.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Do you think you're gonna?
Hey,
start
I'll tell you what.
do
If I
think you're gonna
fucking
start
fall off, I'm gonna
implementing-
like bathe in a bath of like fucking chocolate.
Dan's gonna come in with a
syrup?
Do you
pizza
think you're gonna start
during
working
the
out in the
pod.
morning?
I need to. So like
Yeah,
that's one of my
plow it.
goals over the next week. I just want to get better at everything that I started and just kind of build on it. Track. So like right now with the diet is keto, right? But I'm not tracking calories. I'm just making sure I stick to keto. So I might have 20,000 calories, and that's an exaggeration, obviously, but it's keto.
Chill out, Bryson.
Last time
DeChambeau.
You know what I
Dan
mean?
did
So-
keto, though, he
so
was
now
dipping
it's
chicken
keto
wings in
plus-
ranch.
Calorie watching. So just shit like that. Just build on what I've done over the last week, and I'll feel better.
I think you'll feel a lot better once you start breaking up your workouts.
And Matt has a challenge for us for next week.
You're going to
Yeah,
challenge
yeah.
us to something? All right.
Yeah, so I think we're
Are
going to
you
start
in this challenge, or is it
doing-
just us?
No,
Hell
I'm
no.
going to do this one. So,
Thank God.
So I think the idea for this podcast is instead of, hey, we're going to talk about a certain topic in self-development, we're going to try to practice it a little bit instead of just preaching it. So
I
we're
love
just going to do throughout that week, whatever that topic is, we're going to come up with something, and we're going to just kind of report on what we found, I guess, even though it's just a week time, and if we want to make it stick, we can. So preparation, that's the challenge. So the idea is tonight or tomorrow, go home, plan your week out. Plan everything you possibly can. Plan your meals, plan your workouts, plan your work stuff, set goals. So there's a really good book called Executive Toughness by Dr. Jason Selk, who's actually a local here in St. Louis. He has this idea of set product goals and set your daily activities as process goals, right? So you can say by next week, I want to have X amount of appointments. That's my product. That's the product of what I want to happen, right? But the process goals are going to be the day-to-day activities, right? So the things that you can control, the number of phone calls, the number of shit that you're going to buy for your manufacturing stuff. So whatever it is,
Very
anyway.
technical terms.
We're going to plan out as much as humanly
You're going to
possible.
plan out as much as humanly possible. No, you're going to set just a loose structure to the plan, but you're going to plan out everything, right? So the idea of doing it for the week is that if something pops up and you have to attend a meeting and you got to miss whatever it is, you can put that off later in the week.
We should Google Sheet this so we can hold each other accountable if someone doesn't have it done. Thoughts, comments?
Somebody's got to take responsibility.
Dan doesn't know
I'll
what
do
Google
it.
Sheet is.
You don't know what Google
Neither
Sheet
do
is?
Actually, I prefer Google Sheets to a CRM. So don't give me shit, man. I'm an expert Google
I'll set,
Sheeter.
it, I'll
Did
set
you
up a
see
Google
Dan
Sheet.
start waving his finger?
So the idea we're going to plan our week. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how the plan went, right?
I love it.
Cool. I got a quote I want to end with
Aw.
because I wanted to say
It
this.
just looks like story time right now.
By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail.
Damn, that's deep.
Benjamin Franklin.
Ben Frank.
I was gonna call him Benny Frank, who I said would be my rap name if I was a rapper.
That's tight, dude.
Can I
Benny
say
Frank,
one?
baby.
Can I say one more thing? I don't want to steal your final
Yeah.
thunder
Yeah,
here
go
on
ahead.
that last
Steal
quote,
it.
but I did send it to something not completely similar, but to my team this morning. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Damn, that sounds familiar, Brad.
Yeah,
I think
did we
talked
talk about that last week?
I think Brad gave you that fucking quote to
I
give to your
literally
team.
listened to the podcast the next day.
That was the law of attraction quote.
Yeah,
Wow.
look at that.
Will
It's in my
Smith,
head
the
now.
power.
It's the law of attraction. It's in my head. I literally thought about it.
Did you
this
quote
morning.
Brad
Attraction.
at least? Did
Yeah,
you
did
at
I
least
get
give him
credit for that,
credit?
or-
What's his
dash
name?
Will Smith, dash Brad, dash Bob.
Dash Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Later.